Let's jump right into this explainer on the Mauritius Chagos Archipelago dispute. We're treating this as a high-intensity strategic briefing today. The goal? To maximize your conceptual clarity and high-pressure exam recall. We are going to cut right through the noise and deliver exactly what you need to know about one of the absolute most critical geopolitical standoffs happening in the Indian Ocean right now. Quick look at the agenda. We'll hit the core dispute and background, the geopolitics of Diego Garcia, legal dimensions, India's strategic balancing role, an exam answer framework, and wrap up with rapid revision. Okay, let's establish our chronology anchors right off the bat. These dates are crucial data points for you to trace the escalation from post-colonial detachment to the modern institutional deadlock we see today. So 1965, the UK detaches the Chagos Archipelago from Mauritius to create the British Indian Ocean Territory. 1968, Mauritius gains independence. From 1968 to 1973, we see the tragic forced displacement of the Chagosian people. Fast forward a bit to 2019, the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, issues a landmark advisory opinion favoring Mauritius, and lately from 2022 to 2024, we've had some major but ultimately stalled negotiations between the UK and Mauritius. Section 1. Core dispute and background. So geographically, we're talking about over 60 islands right in the central Indian Ocean. Now, these were severed from Mauritian territory just before their independence. And the indigenous population, they were forcibly displaced to Mauritius and the Seychelles. Why? Specifically to clear the way for a foreign military presence. Mauritius has consistently and forcefully argued that this detachment was fundamentally illegal under international decolonization norms. Section 2. Geopolitics of Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia isn't just some random island, right? It is literally the operational linchpin for US and UK power projection. It functions as a massive joint military base and a critical logistics hub that covers 3 huge theaters: the Indo-Pacific, the Middle East, and East Africa. Because it can support long-range bombers, naval deployments, and major intelligence missions, it's absolutely central to the US's broader Indo-Pacific strategy, especially when it comes to countering growing Chinese influence. Now here is where we see a massive direct collision of objectives. On one hand, Mauritius is demanding recognition of its sovereignty, economic compensation, and real integration into the regional security framework. But on the flip side, the US and UK are completely paralyzed by security vulnerabilities. They are hyper-focused on securing long-term base continuity, keeping absolute legal jurisdiction over their military ops, and crucially, making absolutely sure no third party, specifically China, gets any kind of strategic access. I want you to literally commit this next phrase to memory for your exams. Decolonization versus strategic realism. The entire conflict is just a textbook case of this theoretical tension. It's the clash between the normative, moral principles of completing decolonization and respecting international law, weighed directly against the cold, hard strategic imperative of retaining forward-deployed military infrastructure. Section 3. Legal dimensions and sovereignty. Let's map out this institutional clash. In 2019, the ICJ unequivocally declared the UK's continued administration unlawful, telling them to end control as rapidly as possible. And the UN General Assembly? They overwhelmingly backed this up, which hugely strengthened Mauritius' diplomatic case. But despite clear, binding directives from international institutions, the UK just maintains its grip. And they cite those exact defense imperatives we were just talking about. So what's the so what here? It's the systemic impact. This is not just about a remote island chain. It's about setting global precedents. The UK's hesitation to prioritize legal and moral pressures over its own security concerns actively erodes the credibility of the so-called rules-based international order. It creates this incredibly stark contradiction for Western powers who go around advocating for international law globally. Section 4. India's strategic balancing role. How does India fit into this? Well, India is walking a very complex strategic tightrope. Its absolute core interest is ensuring stability in the Indian Ocean region. Now, to do this, India conceptually supports Global South decolonization norms, which aligns them with Mauritius. But practically speaking, India relies heavily on maintaining coordination with Western partners on maritime security. It is the ultimate balancing act between honoring post-colonial principles and recognizing great power military necessities. Section 5. Exam Answer Writing Framework. If you get a question on this dispute, I want you to structure it exactly like this workflow. Step 1. Anchor your intro with the geography and that critical 1965 detachment. Step 2.
Build your body paragraphs by explicitly contrasting the ICJ legal rulings against the US and UK's Indo-Pacific security needs. Step 3. Insert India's complex balancing act. And Step 4, conclude heavily on the broader geopolitical impact, specifically zero in on that erosion of the rules-based order.
Section 6, Rapid Revision and Recall. Let's lock this in. Active recall time. In what year did the ICJ officially declare the UK's administration of the Chagos Archipelago unlawful? Think about it.
It was 2019. That date is a non-negotiable memory anchor for literally any legal argument you make about this dispute.
Next question. The UK and Mauritius were actually close to a breakthrough recently. So what specific multi-layered factors caused the 2022 to 2024 diplomatic negotiations to stall out?
Well, the breakdown wasn't just one single thing. It was a volatile mix of deep strategic fears over Chinese expansion in the Indian Ocean, shifting domestic politics within the UK, and highly unresolved legal guarantees about base access jurisdiction, plus the resettlement rights of the displaced Chagosian people. Let's test your conceptual clarity. What is the central theoretical tension playing out in the Chagos dispute? We highlighted this earlier.
Decolonization versus strategic realism. It's the ultimate clash between the moral application of international law and hard, pragmatic military necessity.
I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. As global multipolarity grows, and as small states increasingly use international institutions to assert their sovereignty, what actually happens to global security if major powers selectively ignore the very rules-based order they advocate for? Keep that question front and center as you review this explainer.